Are you an established small business owner or aspiring entrepreneur? Would you like professional advice to help your business grow and succeed? Well, look no further. The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is the territory's #1 resource to move your business forward. Enjoy no-cost advising, low-cost training, and technical assistance from experts in both the public and private sectors. The VISBDC is nationally accredited and sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration. Visit us at our locations on St. Thomas, St. John, or St. Croix, and follow us on social media at VISBDC. For easy access to all our training and networking events, be sure to join our newsletter and download the VISBDC app. The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, here to help your business start, grow, and succeed.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Tax Basics for Small Businesses webinar. Today's webinar is possible as a collaboration between the VISBDC and the VI Bureau of Internal Revenue to present a basic tax filing webinar for all types of USVI small businesses. Topics include the appropriate tax forms to submit and when and where to file them, delinquent accounts, and excise tax. Here's a friendly reminder to put your questions in the chat, and they will be addressed by the presenting team either directly in the chat or later during the question and answer segment. A copy of this presentation is available upon email request to training@visbdc.org. We encourage you to take a few minutes after this training to fill out the survey that lets us know how we are doing. Allow me to introduce today's lead presenter, the IRB's Chief of Audit, Ms. Perpetua Cranston, as she formally introduces the members of her team. So Ms. Cranston, we can see your screen, and without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our annual our basic information for farmers, fishers, and other small businesses. I hope everyone is having a good morning so far. With me today, or should I introduce myself? I'm Perpetua Cranston. I'm the Chief of Audit for the Virgin Islands. I am located in the St. Croix district. Our office here is in the 4008 Estate Diamond area in St. Thomas. We're located in Rest Hook, Niski Center, and on St. John. Mr. Charleswell is going to tell you where we're located there. So with me today are several presenters. We have Mr. Clifford Charleswell. He's the Assistant Chief of Audit. He's in the St. Thomas, St. John district. We have Ms. Sharon Carr. She's the Chief of Delinquent Accounts and Returns branch. She may be joining us a little bit later. We also have Ms. Jackie Luke. She's the Assistant Chief of Delinquent Accounts and Returns branch, and she's in the St. Thomas, St. John district. And we have Mr. Glenn Hodge, who is the Excise Tax Supervisor, and he is in the St. Thomas, St. John district. However, he is also the one that's responsible for excise taxes on St. Croix. So without further ado, I am going to turn the screen over to Mr. Charleswell to start presenting. Mr. Charleswell, I think you may be on mute, so you may have to unmute yourself. But while he's unmuting himself, our objectives for today, we'll be introducing you to the Virgin Islands Bureau of Internal Revenue. We'll also be talking about some of the business types you're in. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Charleswell.
Hi, good morning. So stop it. Okay, Cranston, you can begin. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So I was going through the
Okay.
objectives, but since you came on, I was
Yes.
going to let you go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go, take the page after the objective.
Okay, so we're also going to look at some record keeping tips. We're going to tell you when and where to file. And we're going to go through some of the common errors that we observe in our line of business. We're also going to give you an introduction to the excise and gross receipts tax. And for the delinquent accounts, individuals that owe, Miss Jackie Luke or Miss Sharon Carr will give you a synopsis of what you can do if you cannot file and pay today. Then we have a question and answer period, and we've also provided some resources for you.
Good morning again. Who are we? The Virgin Islands Bureau of Internal Revenue was established in 1980. Our mission is to fairly administer and enforce the internal revenue tax laws of the United States Virgin Islands with the highest degree of integrity and equality to the people of the territory. We at the VI Bureau of Internal Revenue are devoted to serving the public by actively engaging and meeting taxpayers' needs by modernizing and simplifying our system of tax administration. We are committed to continue to improve our efforts to inform and educate our taxpayers through various platforms in order to encourage voluntary tax compliance. Next. At the Bureau of Internal Revenue, the Bureau of Internal Revenue is made up of the following divisions: the Director's Office, where we have the Human Resources Department, the Director, the Deputy Director, and the Attorney. The Processing Division is made up of the Chief of Processing, the Supervisor of Excise Tax, Supervisor of Withholding, and the local gross receipt taxes. The Audit Division is made up of the Chief of Audit, Mr. Cranston, and the Assistant Chief of Audit, myself, Clifford Charswell. And our duties is to see that the taxpayers report the correct amount of taxes while deducting the correct amount of expenses. And then we have the DAR branch, what is responsible for collecting the outstanding taxes that are owed to the government of the Virgin Islands. Then we have the types of businesses. You have the sole proprietorship, the partnership, corporations, S-corps, and the single member LLC. Well, the sole proprietorship or sole proprietor and the single member LLC. The sole proprietor is defined as an unincorporated business with one owner. Some examples are freelance writers, accountants, bakers, carpenters, mechanics, auto body repairmen, fishermen, farmers, etc., just to name a few. The common tax filing requirements for a sole proprietor is the 1040, the 1040 SS, that's the share of Social Security, which is mailed to the US Treasury, 501 VI, 941 VI, 941 SS, W2 VI, 1099 NEC, 721 VI, 720B, or 720 VI. Now, the 501 VIs would be used if you have employees, and for the quarter, your withholdings is over $2,500, then you're supposed to deposit the 501 VI here with the Bureau of Internal Revenue. And then the 941 VI you reconcile it, and that's a quarterly form, breaking down into the first, second, third, and fourth quarter. The 941 SS is similar to the 941 VI, but the 941 SS is what you would use to report the share of Social Security taxes that was deducted out of an employee pay, and that is remitted to the US Treasury. Then we have the W-2 VI. A 1099 NEC is used for self-employed contractors, okay? If you employ someone and you do not regulate how they are paid, you would issue them a 1099 NEC. Then we have the 721 VI, that's the excise tax form, where if you're bringing in items into the territory for sale or to be used in your trade or business, you would encounter the 721 VI that's online. And the excise tax office here in St. Thomas is located at Niski Center. Then that brings us to the 720B or the 720 VI. The 720B is used to report gross income that is less than $225,000 per year, and you're entitled to the $9,000 per month exemption. The 720 VI is to be used once your gross income from sales or services is above $225,000, and then you would file it monthly, which is the 30th day of the following month, and you are not entitled to take the $9,000 exemption. Next. Next form of business, we have a partnership. And the partnership is defined as a formal arrangement by two or more partners or individuals to manage and operate a business and share in its profits. There are four types of partnerships. We have the limited, the general, the limited liability, and the LLC. Partners working for partnerships do not receive W-2s. They receive what you call guaranteed payments. And at the end of the year, they will receive a K-1 that explains their ratably share in the profits or losses to be filed on the 1040 income tax return. Again, a partner cannot be an employee of a partnership. The common tax filing requirements for the partner are Form 1040 and Form 1040 SS. So once a partner is actively working in the partnership, he or she is subject to self-employment income. And the common tax filing requirements for the partnership, they're filed forms Form 1065, the W-2 VI, the 1099 NEC, the 501 VI, 941 VI, 941 SS, 721 VI, 720B, or 720 VI. Those same forms that was mentioned earlier, the same requirements applies to the partnership. The partnership tax return is due March 15th. That's if you're a calendar year partnership. And if you need to file an extension that will take you to September 15th, you would use a form 7004. If you're a fiscal year partnership, your tax return is due the 15th day of the third month following the end of your tax year. Next slide.
So we have a question in the chat. The person is asking, how do you determine the members of the partnership?
Well, The members of a partnership or the partners of a partnership, those are the individuals who maybe have come together to form a business entity and agree to share in the profit or the losses by a percentage that is deemed necessary for the individuals that form the partnership. Okay, now a partnership does not have to be 50-50. It could be any ratio that the partners choose to operate. They could share one way in the profits and another way in the losses, as long as it's specified in the partnership agreement. Okay.
So we have one more question, which is, what form does a partnership file? What tax form?
Form 1065.
Okay.
Corporation. The corporation is defined as a legal entity that is separate and distinct from its owner. A corporation is credited when it is incorporated by a group of shareholders. The common tax filing requirements for the corporation is Form 1120. We have the 501 VI, the 941 VI, 941 SS, the W2 VI, the 1099 NEC, 721 VI, 720B, or 720 VI. Now, once you're going to organize as a corporation, you would do what we call the articles of incorporation, and that would file with the Lieutenant Governor's office, and it would outline what kind of corporation and what kind of entity they intend to engage on or operate. Okay. The shareholders of the corporation are taxed separately. So we have a C corporation, what we call double taxation. You would pay tax at the corporate level, and the dividends to the shareholders is also be taxed on the 1040 income tax return. Now, the corporate return for a C Corp is due the 15th day of the 4th month following the end of the corporate tax year, or if you're a calendar year taxpayer, we would say that is April 15th. And if by chance you don't get through to filing it, you could request an extension on Form 7004. That would take you down to October 15th of the year.
So, Mr. Charleswell, we have a question. What type of information is included in the operating agreement? Do you know?
Yes, the resident agent, the place where the corporation would be operating from, the year or when it was incorporated, and the shareholders. It should have a president, a treasurer, secretary listed by the articles of incorporation. That's done at the Lieutenant Governor's office in St. Thomas. That's done in Niski Center by the Corporation and Trademarks Division.
Okay, and on St. Croix, it's in the Government House building.
So that brings us to the S Corp return. Is defined as a legal entity that is separate and distinct from its owner. A corporation is created when it is incorporated by a group of shareholders. Shareholders receive a K1, Shareholders can be an employee. The common tax filing requirements for the shareholder is Form 1040. And then the tax filing requirements is the 1120S. And to make it considerably clear, the S corporation, we would file the same articles of incorporation with the Lieutenant Governor's office. However, to elect to be taxed as an S corp, you must file Form 2553 with the Bureau of Internal Revenue. That's supposed to be reviewed and signed off by the Chief of Audit, Ms. Cranston. And that would begin the process as to see when you're going to actually begin being taxed as an S corp. An S corp could have one shareholder and you can be an employee of the S corp. But unlike a partnership, the flow through from an S corp, the individual or the ordinary income that is reported is not subject to self-employment taxes. Okay? And they have some basic common rules for S corp. It limits the number of shareholders. And the S corp tax return is due March 15th or the 15th day of the third month of the close of the tax year for that corporation. If you need to file an extension for the S corp, it would be done on Form 7004, and that extension would take you to September 15th. Okay? Record keeping. One of the most important aspects of running a business is choosing the method of accounting that accurately reflect the income generated, whether it's a cash or accrual basis. Record transactions daily, manually, or you can use a computer software. Implement a document management system, reconcile the bank statement regularly, or back up and secure your records in a safe environment that can be easily accessed in terms of need.
So what is the cash basis of accounting or accrual basis of accounting?
The cash basis of accounting is to report the income when it is received, when the services are rendered. And the accrual basis of accounting is the type of accounting when you would record the income when the services is rendered, even though you get paid at a later date. Okay.
What
Now,
type of software can the person use in order to keep records of the business?
we could use the QuickBook. I have heard some accountants mention about Dome. Peachtree, I know, used to be one. Or you could do it the manual way, as long as you could actually document and keep good records for how your business operates. Next. Okay, on the screen here, we have the Schedule C. On the Form Schedule C, that's used by the sole proprietor. One, we have the name of the proprietor. In box A, we have the principal business or profession that the taxpayer is engaging. So let's say if you're a taxi, you would have transportation, and then see the business name. In box B, you have the entity code to tell us what kind of entity the sole proprietorship or the business is engaging. D, you have the employer identification number. The employer identification number is given out by the Internal Revenue Service via the form SS4. And line item E, the business address, including suite or room number. Now, we stress to businesses that go into business, in box number E, we want the location of where the business operating from, not a mailing address, okay? And then you go to box F, we have the accounting methods that we just indicated, the cash, the accrual, or 3 other, and if you have other, specify. Then we have box G, or item G, and the question is asked, do you materially participate in the operation of this business? And if no, that box in the alerts us that maybe you have a business, but maybe you could be living on the mainland. And in a nutshell, what that tells us is that you did not materially participate. So if that business suffered a loss, you would not be able to deduct the loss on your tax return. It may be limited because you did not materially participate. Okay, we're looking for active participation. H, if you started a business in 2023 or you acquired it in 2023. Again, that line tells us when you actually begin operating a business. So certain tax forms that we may require, you might not be entitled to based upon the time frame that you started the business. And then you check off the box in I, did you make any payments in 2023 to the individuals that are self-employed that are you required to file Form 1099? And then they ask you if you did file the Form 1099, okay? Any questions so far? And then we go down to the income part. Line 1, gross receipts from sales or services. Category number 2, returns and allowances, you subtract, then you get the cost of goods sold. So for Schedule C taxpayer, if you're in the business of buying and selling, expect to have a cost of goods sold. Or if you're in the business of manufacturing merchandise that's going to be used in your trade or business, we will be looking for the cost of goods sold section. And one major caveat of the cost of goods sold section, let's say last year you end the year with $500, the next year, subsequently, you should begin the year with $500 to start off, okay? So the beginning inventory plus purchases minus other expenses give you the goods available for sale and the cost of goods sold section, okay? That's on the back of the Schedule C. Then we go down to the income part. The expenses part. Now, the expenses that are listed here and categorized, they must be ordinary and necessary in carrying on your trade of business in accordance of Internal Revenue Code section 162. Okay, so advertising, it could be business cards, newspaper, running it on those billboards that we see going down Rappoon Hill, or any stuff like that, can truck expenses, gas, anything to do with servicing your vehicle, commission and fees. If you're in the business that pays commission and fees, then that would be there. Contract labor goes down to depreciation. And depreciation starts when the asset is placed in service, not when you buy it. Again, employee benefits programs. The insurance indicate, and it tells you other than health, interest, mortgage paid to the bank, and any other legal and professional services, office expense, pension and profit sharing plans, rent or leasing equipment or buildings or wherever your place of business is located, repairs and maintenance, supplies, taxes and licenses. Now, when we talk about taxes and licenses, it don't have to be taxes that just pertain to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. It could have other taxes out there or licenses. It could be you're bringing stuff to excise or the custom duties. You could classify the taxes as long as you able to document what kind of taxes it is. Then we have the travel and meals, travel away for business purposes. Yes, the cost of travel, but it's kind of limited based upon the number of days and the event you're going to. Deductible meals must have a business purpose. Utilities could include light, water, cell phone, internet, WAPA. Then we have the wages, pays to employees, less the employment credits, and a subcategory, other expenses. That's to name a few, not all inclusive, but that's just a gist of the Schedule C for self-employed individuals. Next. And then we go to the back of the Schedule C. We have the cost of goods sold section, and they ask you the method used to value closing inventory, whether it's a cost, the law of cost or market value, or if it's other, you have to attach an explanation. And it's the beginning inventory plus purchases, plus the cost of labor and materials and supplies, and the ending inventory give you the cost of goods sold. Next slide. Other expenses, sorry. Information on your vehicle, sorry. The total miles, if you take the total miles, you cannot deduct the actual expenses. So it's either one or the other. The actual expenses is like oil, gas, and stuff like that, okay? And other expenses that's not categorized, as long as it was used in your trade or business, and again, readily defined and stuff, you can deduct it. So we have like cell phone, you have uniforms, business startup costs, dues and subscription, and any trainings or conferences that you attend for the business, it can go under as other expense. Sorry. Okay. Here we have some of the forms that we use on a regular basis at the Bureau of Internal Revenue. We see you have January 30th, Gross Receipts Form 720B, that is due. partnership return, like I mentioned earlier, is due March 15, 2024. The corporate income tax, that's a regular 1120. It's due April 15th. The income taxes is due April 15th. Gross receipt 720 VI is the 30th day of the following month. We have the excise tax, 721 VI is the 15th day of the following month if it released on a bond.
Yes.
Okay, and all others at time of clearance. We have the hotel room tax is the 30th day of the following month, and C, applicable forms for the other taxes. And remember, the last states at least 90% of your taxes should be paid by January 30th, whether it's through withholding taxes or estimated taxes, as you would be hit with a estimated tax penalty. Okay, and the extensions that are requested for individuals or corporation, especially individual, extension is giving you time to file, not time to pay. Okay. Next. Okay. W2 VI and W3, they should have been issued by January 31st of this year for 2024. Forms 1099, NEC, and 1096. 1096 is a transmittal form that should have been issued on January 31st. The 1099 miscellaneous and 1096, at least February 29th or whatever. The fuel tax 721F is the 30th day of the following month. The timeshare 722E, the 30th day of the following month. The employer 501 VI goes back to the due date, depends on your situation, which I mentioned earlier. If you're more than $2,500 a month, it should be at least the 15th day of the following month. But again, it depends on your look back period. April 30th, July 31st, October 31st, and January 31st. Those are the employer quarterly tax return due dates. And then they have other taxes, so you'll see the applicable tax forms to see how to proceed.
Okay, so we have two questions. The
Okay.
first is, do we need to attach proof of income for our business income when we file our tax return?
If we need,
If we need to attach proof of the expenses and the income when we file our Schedule C or 1065.
no,
So-
you should, the taxpayer should report the income that is earned by the company or the individual. However, they should keep records to show as to how they came up with that income and the expenses that were deducted, how they arrive at those expenses.
Okay, and the next
Their record.
question is, sorry, go ahead.
That's for their personal record keeping in case of an audit inquiry, that they would be able to substantiate what was deducted and reported on their tax return.
Okay, and the next question is, can you get the estimated tax penalty waived if you have a zero liability from the previous year? So if 2022 was zero tax liability and you're now in 2023, will you still get the estimated tax penalty?
No, because it's 100% of the prior year pay. So if they didn't have to pay in the prior year, then that penalty would be not valid. Common errors: missing forms, 1/2 of a self-employment tax not paid, self-employed tax claim on the tax return. Remember, you deduct the 1/2 self-employment and the self-employment tax. That line here in the VI should be 0, and you would mail the 1040 SS along with the payment to the Internal Revenue Service. Mailing address used as business address. Remember earlier, we need the physical operating address of the business, and treating an employee as a contractor. Now, some people treat employee as a contractor to avoid paying withholding taxes. Okay? So once you have the right to dictate when that individual comes and goes and what kind of work they perform, then Internal Revenue purposes, they classify it as an employee. A contractor is once you're just given the task and the tools and a time frame to perform that task, then you'll be listed as a contractor. So that's it. And I'll turn you over to Mr. Glenn Hodge, the Supervisor of Excise Taxes, to continue our presentation.
Good morning. All persons, firms, and corporations doing business in the Virgin Islands, except those that are specifically exempt, must pay excise tax on all goods, merchandise, or commodities manufactured in or brought into the Virgin Islands for sale or disposition in the course of trade or business, for processing or manufacturing, or for any other business purpose. You can access the excise tax website by going to excise, EXCISE.bir.vi.gov. Excise clearances are expected to be submitted using the online portal. Transactions are cleared on a first-in, first-out basis. The excise tax web portal is available for submission 24 hours a day. However, clearances are done during normal work hours, which are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We try our best to process transactions within 2 hours of the time that they are submitted during normal work hours. Also be advised, excise tax is also applicable to goods manufactured in the Virgin Islands, unless these goods are otherwise exempted from the tax. Excise tax rates on imported goods and locally manufactured goods are the same. Excise tax on imported raw materials may be used in the manufacturing process will be deferred until the time of sale of the manufactured products. That's it. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Charleswell, it's back to you for gross receipts.
Okay. In general, the Virgin Island gross receipt tax is a tax on total receipts from the conduct of a business within the Virgin Islands without reduction for cost of goods sold or services or any other expenses. A taxpayer's tax year for gross receipt tax purposes should generally follow the taxpayer's fiscal year for income tax purposes. Businesses with annual income of $225,000 or less, or businesses with annual gross receipt of $225,000 or more. And that 2 categories determine which form you would use. Okay, first one is at 720B. Okay. Okay, next slide. VI Farmers, Fishermen and Consumer Act of 2011. For the fishermen or whatever, they give us a 90% exemption, and it exempts any person or entity engaged in farming and fishing from paying the excise, franchise, or gross receipt taxes. These persons or entities are still required to file these forms, Form 242 VI. So Even though the farms and the entities are exempt, they still are required to file a farm. And at the top, especially of the gross receipt, they could indicate in bold writing and highlighted saying that the fishermen or farmers and they're exempt. Now, when we talk about fishermen, we have the individuals. I think they have to be registered or licensed by the DPNR is for the fishermen. Okay. Licensing requirements for farmers are done through the Department of Agriculture. So now that we hear the word farmers, we have different type of farmers. We have those who raise and sell cattle, like cows, sheep, chickens, rabbits. And then we have those that sell herbs, produce, vegetables. And then we have individuals who engage in the horticultural process according to the code section issued by the VI legislature. They're considered farmers. Farmers file Farm Schedule F if they're sole proprietors, and fishers. Yeah. Okay. Next.
Okay, so we turn the floor over to Delinquent Accounts and Returns Branch.
Good morning. If you file your tax return, what happens if you owe taxes? You file a tax return, you either pay in full, either before the due date, or at some point you pay the tax in full. If you cannot pay the tax in full, you can do either a payroll deduction and have it come directly from your payroll, or you can come in and do an installment agreement on your own where you can pay monthly, or you can submit an offering compromise. And with the offering compromise, you can offer a percentage of what you owe, and based on your finances, we can determine what you can pay and accept that offer, and that will wipe out the balance of your account. And that's it in a nutshell. If you have any questions, you can call our office and ask for Delinquent Accounts and Returns Branch, and someone will be happy to assist you.
Okay, so that's basically it for our presentation. I do see one more question. It says, will you incur penalty and interest if you use the other options mentioned other than paid in full? Jackie?
Yes, you will be charged penalty and interest based on how long you take to pay the balance in full. The interest is compounded. So you're getting charged interest on interest and interest on penalty. So the longer you take to pay, based on the balance, the more interest and penalty you will be paying.
Okay. Is DAR only in Red Hook, or can you clear up delinquent accounts in Nisky?
Payments can be made in Nisky, St. John, and Red Hook. However, if you want to do a payment plan or offering compromise, it would have to be the Red Hook office.
Okay, we don't have any more. Okay, one more question just came up. It says, do you have to file gross receipts tax even if you didn't make over $9,000 in any month?
That answer would be yes. Unless you're making over under $225 per year, then you would file a 720B. But I'm not from the grocery department, but I work with it. But if you once you're a business and you have gross receipt, once you make even less than the 9,000 and you're a monthly filer, you have to pay that tax every month. You have to file a return.
Okay, so if the taxpayer makes $2,000 a month, are they still required to file our 720B in January?
Yes. Because you
Okay,
have to report it for the particular month that you made the sale or your gross. You report it on the 720B at the end of the year.
all right. All right, so we have no more questions in the chat. So we're gonna tell you how you can contact us. Wait a minute, somebody looks like they just added something. What email address can I use to request a copy of this presentation? Okay, so when we're finished, we're gonna give a copy of the presentation to Miss Williams or Miss Industrious at the SBDC, and they can send it out to you via email. Can the 720B be filed online? We do have an gross receipts online now. So if you sign up and you register, you should be able to do your gross receipts online. Our excise tax is also online, and you should be able to take care of your excise tax obligations there. We have another question. Is there a guide to follow to complete these tax forms? On the back of the tax forms, we have instructions, and so that should be helpful to you to fill them out. All right, so at this point, we don't have any more questions in the chat. Our contact information is listed on the screen. Our website is the Virgin Islands Bureau of Internal Revenue. It's https://bir.vi.gov. And I can be contacted in the St. Croix office as well as Ms. Sharon Carr. And in the St. Thomas district, we have Mr. Clifford Charleswell, Ms. Jackie Luke, and Mr. Glenn Hodge. Glenn Hodge is for excise, Jackie is for delinquent accounts, and Charleswell is for audit. Our phone numbers in the St. Thomas district is 715-1040, and in the St. Croix district, it is 773-1040. On behalf of the Bureau of Internal Revenue and everyone here today with me, we'd like to say thank you for coming and participating in this webinar. And we hope that we have enlightened you in some of the topics and information that we've presented today. So if we have no more questions in the chat, then that's it for us, Ms. Williams and Ms. Industrious.
Okay, thank you. Can we advance to the next slide so we can have our contact information up? And I'll just go ahead and make a few brief remarks in terms of the VI SBDC.
Okay, so let me go back to your slide in the beginning, if you don't mind. I'll take you back to your slide in the beginning.
While you do that, let me just mention that the VI SBDC has so much more in store for USVI small businesses. You can visit our website at www.vispdc.org. Download the VI SBDC app on your mobile device from the appropriate app store. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Business, and you can subscribe to the VI SBDC YouTube channel for new uploads of our on-demand webinars. Here's a preview of our upcoming trainings. We have SBA Disaster Preparation and Mitigation for your business. We have VBOC. They're going to be doing an introduction to business planning. We have 2 in-person workshops, well, hybrid workshops. The in-person, they're going to be on St. Croix. The first one we have is Financial Basics, Record-Keeping Fundamentals for Farmers and Fishers. And we also have Tax Essentials for Farmers and Fishers, filing your Schedule F form. So if you do wish to attend and you're in the St. Thomas St. John district, you can register and an email, a link will be sent to you. If you are in person on St. Croix, we encourage you to go to our Peters Rest location for those workshops. So I did see a question in terms of a copy of the presentation. So go ahead and send an email to training@visbdc.org so we can get that to you. And let me also mention that this webinar will be converted into an on-demand format. So as soon as we close the meeting, it will be available for you to go ahead and register again, and you can watch at your leisure. So you'll have the PowerPoint presentation in addition to the presenters' comments. Okay, so I don't see any more questions. Outside of that, it was very informative. Thank you everyone for attending. IRB, thank you so much for collaborating with us on this initiative. On behalf of the entire VISBDC network, we thank everyone for attending and we wish you a productive day.